Hi, and welcome back to our show, Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle. Our first guest today is Helen Mack, and this is part of the series Optimising Outcomes, and today she's talking about taking action. So welcome, Helen.
Thanks, Linda.
Can you just start us off by how people would start taking action?
Sure. So we've talked about creating clarity, we've talked about maximising momentum, and we've talked about maintaining mindset. And all of that is fantastic, but if you're only thinking about it, then nothing's going to change. So without action, all we have is contemplation. And thinking never made anything occur. I think some people get into what I call analysis paralysis. They spend so much time thinking about which should I do and what's the best thing to do that they don't realise that by simply choosing to act, they bring in some power from the universe that somehow supports and helps you then take the next step.
So important, isn't it, for us to think about that overthinking takes over so easily in life.
And it's exhausting because you spend your whole time trying to sort out the priorities and which is the best thing and can I and just asking all these questions that end up with you going into a spiral and nothing happens. And then you start beating yourself up about all the things you should do. I call it shoulding all over yourself. I should do this and I should do that. None of that matters. All you need to do is just take a small positive step forward. And the wonderful thing that happens then is that you get feedback. So you take a tiny step and the universe gives you feedback. That was a great decision, Helen, keep going. Or, oh, I don't think so. And you'll get obstacles and things that make it really, really difficult. And the key piece is to watch for those, to notice those messages and go, this is seeming like it's really, really hard. Maybe I should just pause and take a slightly different direction. So I like to use, this is going to give away my age, but I like to use the example of push starting a car. Now, there are going to be some of our viewers who go, what are you talking about? Because you can't push start automatics. But in the days of manual cars, you had to get the car into momentum before you could change direction. You had to take action. You had to put some input in to get an outcome. And it's the same with whatever goals you're at. Your viewers may have noticed, if they've been watching, that I'm a bit of a fan of orange. And the other analogy that I love to use is that you can't get orange juice from an orange by looking at it. You actually have to do something. You have to squeeze. And I think life's a bit like that. You don't get the juice out of life if you don't give it a good squeeze.
On that path where people can get caught up in this positive thinking thing, you were talking about that earlier. What's your take on affirmations and that sort of perspective?
I think that one of the challenges that I have with affirmations is that when a lot of people teach affirmations, they teach you to talk in the current tense about things that are going to happen in the future tense. And I think that a lot of people struggle with that because my brain goes, no, I'm not. I say, I'm tall and fit and healthy, and my little voice says, no, I'm not. So I like if I'm going to make statements about my future, I use action words, verbs, like I'm working towards, or I'm taking steps towards, or I'm becoming, rather than I am. Because my brain fights with me. If I say I am something that I'm working towards, I literally have the little voice going, no, you're not. And so I think that's a problem. Now, I'm an optimist by personality and by trade. That's what I teach the world, is how to be more optimistic. The problem with that thinking doesn't make anything happen. So, bad news for all of us. We cannot sit on the couch and think positively about the red Ferrari coming down the driveway. It's not going to happen. The piece that's missing is what I call the action imperative. The only way to get that red Ferrari, if that's what you want, is to go out and do something to make that happen. And that's why I love optimism as an approach, because optimism has a built-in action imperative. The word itself, optimism, comes from optimus, which is Latin, the search for the good, the search for the best possible. And again, your viewers may remember that from our first episode. So the search for the best possible outcome is built into optimism. It doesn't mean that we are always sweetness and light and balloons and streamers. It means that we take a realistic look at what's going on. Where am I now? Where do I want to go? What's the best possible route for me to get there? And then what's the action I can take to move me towards that goal?
I love that becoming. Because that's totally relevant for me in my journey. I could always have those arguments with myself, and then the overthinking is more compounded, isn't it?
Correct.
You're not feeling like that. So
No.
how can I be that if I'm not feeling?
Yeah,
like
I can't say I am when I'm not yet. So I'm becoming is a very powerful change of verb.
So in regard to bigger things and with that possibility thinking, what sort of action can we take towards that to get the best possible scenario?
So I'm going to start with one that your viewers have probably heard before, because I think a lot of people have heard, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Now, I quite like that analogy, except that I also like elephants. So I don't like the idea of eating elephants. I think the key is to take the tiniest possible step to activate what we talked about a couple of sessions ago around maximising momentum. Once we get into action, once we get into movement, like pushing that stalled car, once we get it moving, then we've got the chance to change direction. It's very hard to change direction from being stopped, from being stationary. In any big project, the key is just to take that first tiny step. Once you get that tiny step, you'll get feedback, you'll have a chance to take more steps and more steps. One of my favourite sayings in this area was delivered to me by a very good friend, Max Dixon, and he said, just choose a single, simple, doable thing. Then you know you've done it, and then you can choose another one. Baby steps will still get you there.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks so much, Helen, for joining us in this series. For more information on Helen and optimising outcome and today's taking actions on that, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break and be back with another beautiful guest. Welcome back, and now we have Pauline Rooney back with us, our Yoga for Wellbeing instructor and author. And the topic today we're covering in this series is back pain. Welcome, Pauline.
Thanks.
And so what type of back pain are we talking about today?
We're talking, Linda, mainly about the general back pain, the lower back, neck and shoulders, sitting too long, standing incorrectly, all of those types of things. We're certainly not talking about surgery type back pain. We're talking the general aches and pains in the back.
So you said standing incorrectly. So people think about we're sitting incorrectly, but what do you mean? What does standing incorrect?
We need to be standing upright, the ball and the heel of the foot being in contact, no dropping of the hip, no folding of the arms, because that all pushes us out of alignment. The other thing is we tend to walk with our phone on our shoulder up, that type of thing, and that can certainly give us a great deal of neck and back pain, carrying through the whole body really.
Wow, that's interesting. And how can yoga then help with back pain?
Oh, yoga is a dream come true if you have a back pain. The posture of yoga is designed to lengthen, strengthen and recharge the mind and the body. Sometimes, you know, Linda, our mind overthinks and we're not doing things quite correctly. So if I were to sit back or something like that, even sit like that, that would cause a discomfort in our back. Yoga teaches us then to be very strong in our abdominals, in the shoulders back and down, all those types of things that really assist in keeping the structure strong. And I often think if we could learn to work with our skeletal body, everything else would fall into alignment. And with the postures, they really are designed to strengthen and lengthen. However, we hear so much about many types of yoga, and that is fantastic. With back pain and all those sorts of things, it's like anything else, Linda. You need to choose the person and the studio and the style of yoga that's going to work for you. Everybody's different, so find the person that you click with, and you'll find that they will integrate posture, meditation, mind focus and breathing, because we need all of these things to come together to create the well-being in us mentally, physically, and we'll say spiritually. So it's a great help.
And how would you say then yoga's different to other ways of helping back pain?
Yoga is unique because we cover the whole body. If I'm looking at somebody and I see a dropped hip, I'm more inclined to look at where they're going on in the shoulders so that we can align and straighten that up so that it will move the hip, and then we strengthen through the posture that area of the body so that everything is strengthened to come back into alignment. So it's very unique, and the mind, I believe, plays equal, if you like, importance as the posture. And it oxygenates, it gives a blood flow. It does all those types of things that sends energy through our bodies, and it's like a great flush of energy rushing through, and put that with the posture, you have a dynamic outcome. But you need to work at it too. You need to do your jobs as well. With the yoga, Linda, there's many different things. Standing, we learn to stand correctly. And of course we have our lovely balancing poses. And if you're out of alignment in those, you're going to know about it because you're not balancing. So the balancing poses, they help to lift us and make sure that our alignment is there. We have the seated poses, we have the triangle poses, so they really do lengthen and strengthen. I keep saying that, but that's so important. And for a lot of people, they don't realise how strong a yogi can actually be. And once your muscles are strong, they support the skeletal body area, and therefore, if that is in alignment, then the muscles are more comfortable sitting around it, so to speak. And that's a great thing. There's simple things of drawing your knees up toward your chest, even sitting in a chair or on the floor. It's amazing the number of postures that we do. People will often say, I can't do a back bend. But in essence, that's what they need to be doing. But under the guise of a very, good and well-trained yoga studio. Because when we do a back bend, we're actually lengthening the sternum, lifting up and lengthening through. So we're actually stretching the back, not compressing it. And that's a great thing to be very aware of. You do not compress the lower back or hug the shoulders up and put compression into your neck, things like that. So again, another thing that we often see are people that stiff neck, they'll roll their head around and around. We think of that as a 16th of your body weight on the smallest vertebra, or one of the smallest vertebra. So we talk about doing it in the four quadrants, So you go back, you go forward, and you go to the sides, so that you're not putting all that pressure onto the vertebra.
And Pauline, what would be, with back pain, the best advice that our viewers could take away today?
There's many things, Linda, that can really help. Some of the best is to simply work with your mind and your breath. We're always saying that in the yoga. But gentle moves of, say, coming forward and just stretching, not arching, but stretching, that'll help to lengthen. Working with your tummy muscles to strengthen the muscles so you sit upright, standing up nice and straight. When you bend from the knees, breathe in to lift, breathe out to put down, because that makes everything lighter. When you're turning, don't sort of half bend and turn. Make sure that you turn your feet to pick something up or to move. Don't swing on a straight spine. Those types of things really do help. And with your shoulders, you can do just a very gentle shoulder roll. We keep our elbows in and just work through the shoulders like that. They will all help. And of course, you go backwards. Your breath, your body movement, and your mindset, Linda, they're the three golden rules. It's amazing how such simple things can actually assist in the gentler, I'll say, back problems, not serious back problems, but the everyday back problem. So that'd be my advice to our viewers today.
Oh, lovely, Pauline. Thank you so much. And now we'll go to break. If there's any more information you'd like on Pauline Rooney and yoga for wellbeing, but specifically back pain, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and we'll be back after the break with another wonderful speaker. Welcome back. And now we have Mark Carazzo, business consultant and coach, and continuing the series on positive psychology. Today we're talking about positive emotions. And over to Mark. Mark, why is that important? Why are they important?
Well, Linda, they're very important, but before I get into that, I'd just like to give a bit of an outline of the most common positive emotions we deal with every day, and they would be things like serenity, awe, inspiration, curiosity, hope, pride, gratitude, love. They're all the things that we love to hear and we love to want more of. So I suppose the question of why they're important, firstly they make us feel good. Nobody can have enough positive feelings. But what we've learned is that more positive emotions in our life actually dial up the learning centres in our brain. And this really means that we see life from a broader perspective, we can see opportunity and we can accept what other people are saying. Negative emotions, things like fear, tend to lead us into a very negative form of behaviour like flight, or sadness into withdrawal. But we know now that positive emotions are broadening, and this has been given to us through effective brain imaging science as well as eye tracking science. So you can see that if we want to be the best form of ourselves, we need to try and experience as many positive emotions as possible, and certainly more positive emotions on a regular basis than negative. It also has been shown from a study called the Nun study that positive emotions lead to longevity. About 200 nuns in 1930, upon entering a convent, did a bit of an autobiographical study on what they were hoping to get out of life in the convent. Now, 6 decades later, scientists tried to take that writing to try and anticipate what in that writing could indicate how long those particular nuns would live for. And it wasn't the intelligence evidenced by their writing which showed how that long they would live for. It wasn't where they lived, it was more a question of how many positive emotions, how much happiness was shown in their particular writing. So I think that's very important. Positive emotions lead to longevity. It is also a buffer, a protective resilience against difficult times. And we also know, I think curiously now, is that people that experience positive emotions tend to have a more coherent and smooth heart activity, which is very important.
Oh, okay. And how would you say then, how could people incorporate more positive emotions into their lives?
I think the first thing to do is look at things that we already have in our lives, particularly even the small things, and be grateful for them. So I suggest that people practice regularly gratitude journaling, or practice gratitude in their everyday life, find something to be thankful for. That of itself is a positive emotion. It's gratitude. It's also things like serenity. It brings awe. It brings curiosity. So gratitude is very important. I think the other thing we can do is savour pleasant experiences that we have in our life. We tend to jump from one good thing to the next and forget what we've been through. So it's a concept known as savouring or replaying. Something, for instance, from your past holiday within 6 months, live through how you felt that day, the emotions that you were feeling, the positive sense. You're basically reproducing something for which you've already experienced. So I think that's, two clear ways to do it. The other thing I really strongly advocate is meditation. It's a word which is confusing to a lot of people, but just finding something small, normally associated with nature, that you can focus on, calm yourself down, focus on that piece of nature, and try and keep the mind still is a great way, the research says, of bringing positive emotions into our life.
So important. And what about the workplace then?
Well, the workplace is a place where we spend a lot of our time. We spend 8 hours a day there, and yes, it can be a place for positive emotions. When you think about it, pride in your work, you can be inspired by other people, you can be in awe of other people. It's a place where relationships are very important to us, so there's even possibility of love. And when I say love, I don't necessarily mean love in the romantic sense. I mean love in a sense where we have mutual care for people, we share positive emotions with them. So the workplace is very important. The other thing to really note about the workplace is the concept of contagion, which basically really dictates that our moods and emotions are highly transferable to others. So we can pick up positive emotions from others, and importantly, I think we can share and give positive emotions to people that we work with.
Mark, would some positive emotions be more important than others?
It's a very individual question to ask that. I think they're all important. There's two that personally stick out for me. One of them is gratitude. Because we're so ambitious and because we're prone to sort of negativity, I think it's very important to rebalance our life, get into the present moment, is to look at what we've got on a regular basis and be thankful for it. And that unleashes a whole lot of positive emotions in our lives. So for me, gratitude is one. The other one is love. And I'm not saying love in the romantic sense. I'm saying love in moments of mutual care, in sharing of positive emotions with many people during our day and our friends. It's proven to be very important. We're seeing some good evidence showing that love helps us to have smooth, coherent heart patterns, and really is very valuable to our health.
And what about some hints for our viewers? What would be some final hints on experiencing positive emotions?
Well, do something that you love and you enjoy. Go out into nature, I think particularly, and not only experience positive emotions, but tell yourself you're experiencing positive emotions, so that moment is not lost on you, whether you say it outwards or whether you say it inwards. So that would be a key one. I think meditation is very important, as I've said before. And the other thing I think we should realise in this modern world, we tend to all carry mobile phones, and we really have seen them in some cases as a necessary item that accompanies us. It can be used for positive emotions. All of us have photos in there. All of us can create slideshows of our recent holidays. All of us can take a photo of nature. So I'd say there's 3 tips for you.
Thank you so much, Mark. For more information on Mark Corazzo, then please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, talking about positive psychology. And for now, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you back here next week.